Welcome back to the Long War 2 Abridged. Last time we tried to find a lead and after a brutal battle got the wrong one. Then by sheer luck we avoided disaster while trying to rescue some resistance contacts. Then in an explosive mission we did find the right lead that the game was asking us to get. However, this doesn't actually do anything. We now need to build the resistance, whatever that means. We can't expand our territory because we need new buildings before we can do that, or new rooms. All I can really do is ask the bases we have to recruit new members so they have more guys in them. Perhaps that is what it means by build the resistance, so I'll try and do that. Now, as for the next mission that comes along, it's one that apparently counters a dark event. These darker events are buffs the enemy get or debuffs that you get, and they're just generally annoying, so good to try and counter it. Now, what I want you to do is look at what time we left. 2 AM on the 19th, we left China. We arrived in India at 11 PM on the 18th. That's quite curious. We've travelled back in time ever so slightly. So, seeing this, I started to think, does the game respect time zones in some way? I'd never thought of that. I don't know how it factors in, but one super pro tip I realised about the game is that you shouldn't travel around when you're about to finish your research or something, because you can't finish a research while you're travelling, but the timer still goes on. So the research will be done, and the rest of the journey time will be spent not researching things. So the more you travel around near the end of each research project, the more likely you are to actually fall behind on the research. It's something I never really considered, but it is actually a factor. Anyway, time for some more time travel action, because now I decided to go back to Asia. What we see here is that after I take off, we go back in time immediately to the previous day, but then when I land, it's the next day again. So the trip took something like 5 hours, but during the trip we were back in time for a while in the middle. No idea where these time zones are or what direction they're supposed to be going, but generally it seems the timing system is messed up in some way, which could be a massive issue in a game where basically everything on the campaign map depends on timers. Anyway, rant over, let's go to the next mission. Something came up with the objective of get Advent's attention, and I thought that's probably a good mission to go on, since, while I don't know what get Advent's attention means, it sounds like it's something to do with the plot or the general progression of the game. So I sent a squad on that. Another mission came up, which was one of these getting supplies missions where we're just stealing stuff. And as before, this is infinitely useful because there are so many things that need supplies, so we sent a squad on that. And another mission in India that says reduce enemy strength, another intriguing new objective. So I thought we'll send a squad to do that as well. That might actually be progressing the game. So we've set up loads of missions there, and the first one to become available or ready to do was the get Advent's attention one. So here we go with that. I set the squad up on top of a building, and there are a couple of guys in the street below. There's a drone there as well, I think, but I can't see it at the moment. It's standing next to them. A little trick shot with this grenade allows me to hit all three, and I guess that's going to get their attention. Mission accomplished. Looks like the drone goes down, and the two guys are wounded. They're not going to go too far though, because now they're going to try and get to cover with my whole squad on Overwatch next to them. And it's none other than Jeanne d'Arc and Rommel doing the usual high quality overwatching. We annihilate that first enemy squad, easy peasy. Now it turns out there was another squad actually on the other side of the road that eventually gets involved in this. Rommel moved down and couldn't really get a shot, but now I can use his special ability Hail of Bullets, which is so delightfully exploitable. It turns any shot into a 100% chance to hit shot, so he can shoot that sectoid while he's in heavy cover. Doesn't get the kill, which is annoying, but he's now nearly dead. So I'm going to send Jeanne d'Arc down on the right, and she's able to get an outflanking position because that sectoid's in pretty bad cover actually, leaning up against a pillar on his flank. So, bit of shooting there finishes the sectoid off, and that clears the way for us. Now it looks like there's only one enemy, so we can just charge right at them. This is the classic risky strat, because while it's guaranteed to kill the enemy, because I've moved forward at the end of my turn, this could trigger an enemy squad to come out the building and attack me. It's my lucky day though. There's no one inside the building except for one alien VIP, and that's what our mission is actually to do. We just need to either kill or capture this guy. Capturing him gives you some bonus intel or something, so might as well do it. Just need to be careful with the commands here, because with these shinobi class people, sometimes if you right click on an enemy it automatically goes and stabs them. Anyway, we get the right thing where we just knock them out and start dragging him to the extraction point. All that happened on the way out was we were disturbed by this drone. I shot it down with a hack, then tried to kill it, but Jeanne d'Arc does this devastatingly bad miss at point blank range. It was just sitting there on the floor and we couldn't hit it. That is a very bad omen. Anyway, aside from that, we got away without anything interesting happening. We've captured the VIP and got Advent's attention, presumably, whatever that does. Now, the next mission to go on is the one where we're stealing resources. We were fighting right from the start because it was one of these classic cases where the very first move I make brings into contact with the enemy. Also, it was a no concealment mission, so we can't sneak around or anything. These first few enemies are nothing too bad. Belisarius gets us a nice kill, taking out the officer. I think a grenade killed one of the troops, and then some gunnery from a new troop here, Cortez, kills the other troop. So now we need to move across this road towards the building on the other side. There was a turret on top of the building, but Belisarius does his work again, getting a crit on the turret and taking it out, which makes my approach much easier. Once we're closer, we discover two guys inside the building. Actually, it's a guy and a drone, and the drone comes outside. I sent Cortez off to the right to look for some heavy cover, but annoyingly this draws in another guy and a drone coming from the right. So two guys and two drones to deal with. Drone number one is killed by a combined effort, with Offid getting the last bit of damage on that one. The other one comes in but doesn't make an attack this turn. The officer nearby, however, puts himself in some heavy cover and manages to just about get a bit of damage on Cortez despite her own heavy cover. That other trooper is still hiding in the building. He's in even better heavy cover and far away, so he's going to be hard to kill. Luckily, he's wasted his turn shooting at Cortez. That was very unlikely to hit. Now Belisarius comes in and bang, takes out drone number 2. He is actually pulling weight in this mission. Good stuff. Dwight moves up and flashes the officer, but that was all I could achieve this turn. No one else was in position to attack, so we're going to let the enemy come at us again. The guy in the building overwatches, and the officer shuffles closer and overwatches as well. This is kind of annoying because we get some fun XCOM 2 line of sight, where that's not a flanking shot, that thing I have there, even though I'd be leaning out around that post to make the shot. It doesn't count as flanking because you can only flank someone who's in quote-unquote front of you if you're adjacent to them. I can't be bothered to explain. Basically, that's not flanking. And if this was vanilla Long War 2, the original version of the mod, that is, that would actually count as full heavy cover as well, so it would be an impossible shot. Anyway, what I'm going to do here is use Combat Protocol from Offid. It does a bit of damage, but more importantly, just removes that officer's overwatch. That allowed me to move Dwight Eisenhower here to get to point blank range and just finish him off with a shotgun. So that's that. The guy inside the building is a bit more annoying to deal with, so I just ran up with Alexandra and threw a grenade in the window. That's going to sort that out. I thought maybe we'd be done for this mission now. We've killed a few enemies, but no. As I move up at the end of the turn, there are some more enemies coming in. Looks like a sentry and a gunner. They take up positions that are quite far away from everyone else, so no chance to attack them now. With Cortez, I need to make a run and try and find some heavy cover. Ideally, I'd run to the right, but I didn't really show you. There's another turret on top of the building to my left, so if I run to the right, I'll be in its line of sight. Therefore, I eventually decide I'm going to run to basically stand in that fire, because that way at least the turret won't be able to outflank me. There's a risk you can get set on fire and go into burning status, but we'll just have to take it. The two enemies are going to hang out over in that corner. That's annoying because if they ran towards me, it would make my life much easier. At least though, they just sit there firing at Cortez and they both miss, so nothing really happens. Then I move up with Alexandra and shoot a rocket. It's a good shot, it takes out the enemy's cover and most of their health. Now it's time for some finishing moves. Cortez shoots and kills one of them, and Dwight Eisenhower's coming up the right edge of the map, and he takes a long shot with his shotgun. Luckily, it does hit, even with an unnecessary crit. So that's that. Now I really thought the mission was done. However, as I start to go towards the building, there are 4 more guys inside, including a sectoid. This is getting pretty nasty because we're going to run out of time. It takes quite a few turns just to walk to all of the things, pick them up, and then take them over to the extraction point. Now we've got to fight those guys. They're in great cover in a position that's hard for us to attack. I guess we were pretty lucky in some ways because they got one of their bonus shots and it somehow missed Alexandra despite her being outflanked by the enemy's new position, so that's something. I'm only able to make one attack this turn with Alexandra, who I realise I've been calling Alexandra half the time. She has a skill that makes low cover count as full cover, so it's sort of safe for her to advance up and sit in that bad cover right in front of the enemy. Now I can throw a flashbang that will get coverage on all of them. That'll give us some extra time to work with, because now the enemy are unlikely to charge forwards or do any good shooting. We'll have time to set up and get this battle going next turn. We see some shuffling around, and their sectoid takes a bit of damage from Cortez. Offie on Overwatch actually gets a bad line of sight kill through a wall on an enemy trooper. Good stuff. Now the enemies continue shuffling, and they actually all go on Overwatch. That means it's now quite dangerous for us to charge into the room, which is annoying because something like that was what I was planning. I do though have just about some range on Alexandra's Flamethrower, and I decided to go for this. Unfortunately it only hits the nearest enemy, but it does kill that enemy, and also that wall of fire is kind of impassable. You can run through it, but it gives you the burning status, which reduces your health afterwards. It's like being poisoned. So it's worth avoiding. Means I can't attack very easily, but same for the enemy. My plan was to get up on the roof and jump down over the fire. Had to run through Overwatch to do that, and I did take 1 point of damage on Dwight Eisenhower, but nothing serious. Offie throws a grenade forwards to get a bit of damage onto the sectoid, and that's pretty much all we can do this turn. Let's see what the enemy have for us. They spend a while becoming undisoriented. The sectoid effectively wastes its turn because it's going to resurrect a zombie just in the fire, but because the sectoid is both quite close to us and on low health, we can just ignore the zombie and kill the sectoid, which will kill the zombie as well. The other guy moves up to be a little bit closer to us and in good cover, pops a miss on Offie, and now that he's close I realise I can hit him with another Flamethrower attack. Pretty much pointless. This is just pyromania at this stage, because the real move this turn is to have two operatives drop down from the roof. Cortez comes down and kills the sectoid, Dwight comes down and kills the guy, and the zombie just dies because the sectoid is dead, and that's it. We really have done the mission this time, except for the leaving part. I actually am about 1 to 2 tiles worth of movement on Belisarius away from being able to get out before the timer runs out. I didn't know what would happen when the timer hit 0, so I decided to just leave, just in case it was something like whoever's left on the map just automatically dies or something like that. It turned out though it just activates the reinforcement system, i.e. the thing that takes place in pretty much every other mission anyway. So it was nothing really, nothing to worry about. The timer wasn't that strict, and I could have took my time with that mission a bit more. However, we actually got away flawlessly, no wounds, very good stuff. By the way, we have completed the Advent Officer autopsy, so we can in theory continue the story. Only in theory, because we need another officer corpse in order to make the Skulljack to do the hack, which is the next objective, to hack an Advent Officer. But we don't have another corpse, because it turns out that pretty much every mission we've seen except the very first one doesn't give you the corpses of the defeated enemies as a reward. Only very specific missions give you corpses, therefore we actually don't have another one, and we can't continue the story. So that's the end of that really. You just have to happen upon a mission that lets us keep the corpses. It's not going to be this one. This time we're going out to try and stop a dark event. We just have to blow up a thing. It's inside this cafe, and I set up right outside it, getting some very good infiltration. But the problem with this is, while we're very close to the objective is crawling with enemies. There are 2 right next to us, towards the front of this building. There are 4 at the back. We can't see most of them at this point, but I've already seen them at this point in the mission, so I know they're there. There are also 3 across the street behind us, which is especially awkward. So if we start fighting now, we're going to be attacked from 2 sides, and we do need to start fighting now, because everyone's in detection radius and is almost certainly going to get detected the second either we do anything or the enemy decide to move and just outflank us. So there's one possible way to get out of this situation, that is to shoot a grenade backwards and try to wipe out everyone to the rear. This works, we get a really high damage roll and kill all of the enemies back there. That's great, now we can focus the fight in one direction. It will be 10 times easier. John Wick kills one of the nearby enemies and Wilma picks up the miss, so we're left with one enemy just inside the door there. Then the pod over towards the back of the building gets involved, and now we can see their full strength. Got a sectoid coming down the right side of the building who takes a bit of damage from Napoleon. There's a drone there, and there's a stun lancer and a gunner at the back. The issue we have is that the one enemy in the door of the building has really good line of sight on our squad in general. He could either shoot Wilma at point blank range or get out flanking shots on Saladin or Attili, where she is now, but I'm going to move to get out of the flanking position there. Saladino's already acted this turn, of course, so he's stuck, and I was very worried that he's just going to get blasted this turn. There was one thing I thought of that could potentially get us out of that situation, and that is to just do something wild with Genghis. We'll put Genghis towards the back as a distraction. That way, now it will be the enemy who are sort of surrounded, and they may be less interested in pushing forward to get easy outflanks on us, and more interested in moving into cover. I think that's how the AI works. If it can detect that you are outflanking them, it puts more emphasis on moving rather than attacking to get into better positions. So we're going ahead with it. We move up and get the kill on the gunner. However, 2 more guys are standing right next to where I just ended the turn, and they are now going to have great outflanking shots on Genghis, so my surround plan has itself been surrounded. The drone does 1 damage with a cheeky shot, then this guy shoots and somehow only does 1 damage, so now Genghis has lost his armor. Inside, the stun lancer bursts out and attacks Saladino, doing 4 damage, but he has a perk giving him 4 armor, so it doesn't do any wounding damage. Then another one of the guys at the back goes invisible, shoots Genghis, and he dies. Actually no, he's bleeding out, so there's still a chance to save him back there, but he's in a very awkward position. The sectoid raises up the zombie of the gunner I killed, so overall we haven't really thinned out the enemy's ranks back there. And the troop I was worried about outflanking me takes an outflanking shot on Saladino. He takes 3 damage, but he has tons of health, so even though he's taken loads of damage this turn, he is still alive, although he's stunned, so he can't act because of that stun lancer. So, time to see if we can sort this messy situation out. Step 1, need to kill that stun lancer before he stuns anyone else. John Wick takes the shot and gets the 1-hit kill. That's what we like to see. Napoleon's moved up onto the next building over to the right. He had a really good shot on that drone, but gets 1 damage, so that's disappointing. Then I move Attili in here, at first thinking we could just absolutely annihilate that trooper, but the chance to hit wasn't even 100%, which was disappointing, and that means I'm not shooting a grenade, and there is some good grenade potential right here, because I can damage the sectoid outside. I think there's even a chance here that we would kill it, or at the very least, remove cover. So I'm going to go for that instead and hope someone else can deal with the troop. We take the shot, it's not enough to get the kill. The sectoid lives on 1 health, that could be annoying, and its cover's still there, it's still in full cover. Outside, Saladin is able to take 1 action. I think that's what the stun did, it just meant he couldn't take his first action this turn, so I can shoot without moving, means I'm still not in a very good position, but we take out the troop at least and avoid getting shot again. Now it's time for the alien turn. Wilma's moved up to the roof and she takes a shot from the drone, nothing too bad there. Then those guys who shot at Genghis are going to start coming into the fight in the background. The Psy zombie starts sauntering at me. I was like, don't you dare come all the way over here and just hit me, and it just about runs out of movement before it reaches Attili, so we got away with that. Those 2 guys outside have moved to annoying positions because now Napoleon can't outflank the enemy from the right because he will be outflanked if he does that. So he's kind of stuck, locked down with those guys. The sectoid does a Psy attack and panics Attili. Now she's not going to be able to do anything in the next turn, that's hyper annoying. Saladin moves up to this corner where he can get a grenade up towards where the sectoid now is. It's on 1 health, so we'll definitely kill it. And if we shoot at just the right spot, we can hit the objective as well. We'll start destroying the alien thing, since grenade damage does go through walls. There we have it. The death of the sectoid will also take out the Psy zombie, so now Attili is in less trouble. Now we're going to go to Wilma up on the roof. She's got the disorientation, so she can't really shoot anything, there's no good shots here anyway. But she is carrying a med pack, so you can start to see what I'm thinking here. We've got 2 turns until Genghis is dead. I can move to a position where I'll be able to reach him next turn. Had to move through some overwatch that I'd forgotten about, but luckily we don't get punished for that. So now Wilma can drop down and do the stabilization next turn to stop Genghis dying, but it will mean she's in a very awkward position, the same position that got Genghis killed. That's the main issue. Napoleon takes out the drone, so that's something, and now it's time for the alien turn. And it's not good, just what we didn't need. 2 more guys appear in the building at the back. So now we've got even more to worry about. Getting into a position to fight the two guys outside will now mean we're outflanked by those two guys. So we're going to have to work with this situation. Attili is back in action, and of course we're going to start this off with a grenade. The grenade hits both, had the potential to kill both of them I think if we've got max damage rolls, but they're both still alive, so we're still in big danger there. At least we got rid of some cover, but we can't really exploit that, since everyone else will be focusing on the whole Genghis thing. We need to try and kill those two enemies so that Wilma can do this stabilization safely. Napoleon tries and fails, and then I just do it anyway because I'm like, I don't really mind exchanging Wilma for Genghis, especially because there's a chance Wilma won't die even in really bad cover. So, Genghis is stabilized. Now Saladin takes a like 50% shot, and we get it. That was a complete gamble, and it paid off. We've killed the more powerful of the two enemies outflanking Wilma. As for the other guy, John Wick can actually get into an outflanking position to take a shot. As long as Attili is fine with the two enemies downstairs, we can afford to ignore the interior and just do this move. We do it, and John Wick gets the kill. So now Wilma isn't outflanked and is in a much less dangerous position. Let's see what the aliens do. The gunner takes cover behind the thing and then starts firing up with extremely questionable physics there, phasing through the wall to shoot at John Wick. Good old XCOM. The other guy moves outside and again shoots through the wall at Attili. Luckily, it's a miss. So now we're in business. John Wick throws a grenade, kills both the enemies, puts some damage on the thing, and we're done here. That was it all of a sudden. Now we're free to just shoot at the thing until it dies and everyone else tries to leave. The problem is the enemy did bring two troops as reinforcements who appeared just before I got everyone out. It's just two low-level troops, so it wasn't too bad, especially because Attili still had a grenade left. So I fired a grenade. That takes out one of them with some help from an explosion in the car there. The grenade itself got really low damage rolls. Napoleon absolutely annihilates the other one, and we're away. We can climb up to the extraction on the roof. And we've successfully prevented the alien dark event. We don't know what it was going to be, but something bad that was going to happen now won't happen, and Genghis didn't die. He's going to be out of the game for a while, as is Saladin actually, but we've still got our nice high-level operative with an extra level added on for good measure. And with that somewhat happy ending to that very dramatic mission, we come to the end of part 5. Next time we'll be fighting in and around our own bases, as we both have to try and get rid of some spies and deal with the fact that the aliens decided to just say, you know what, let's just go kill those guys and start attacking us seriously.